Right.
from what I was reading into, it's significantly more vast. So maybe you could, just so that the audience has a kind of a basic framework, like what exactly is the virtual economy? And then we'll get into some more interesting questions and points.
I don't know if the word exactly would match what I'm going to describe, but the best
Mm,
way to think of it is as a system, right? It's a system of online jobs, assets, marketplaces, but also traders, people who facilitate exchanges that are functioning across a range of online platforms. The most obvious one is gaming. I think it's a
yeah.
good place to start the conversation, but it has gone beyond gaming, where it just kind of tries to encompass the entire human existence. So when you had trading in the games in the 1990s, this is when the economy began, right? As technology got better, you could trade items that became more complex and more expensive.
Hmm.
Even in the early 2000s, we had over $1 billion in virtual goods being traded. That was not really seen. It was kind of happening in the background, seen as a niche thing
Yeah.
for nerds. But a decade later, we were looking at $7 billion. I don't know if you've heard of Second Life.
Yeah.
Second Life
Yeah.
is one of the first and most popular virtual worlds, right? It brought the idea to the mainstream. Everyone was talking about it. Second Life was or is the future.
Hmm. Hmm.
And what's interesting is that they had a virtual currency that you could exchange for dollars. And that brought in a lot of entrepreneurial spirit into the platform. People started creating companies that were completely digital, selling digital items and making tens of thousands of dollars a month. And that has grown significantly since then. Like,
Hmm.
as I said, World of Warcraft, MMORPGs, they kind of took over the world. They have tens of millions of users. And then people started watching these people play, right? There's now an entire adjacent industry that is called esports that is
Yeah.
absolutely massive, right? You have the League of Legends World Championship that has millions of viewers, has the biggest game prizes of any sports. And you have athletes that are now superstars that fill stadiums around the world. You have FedEx, Louis Vuitton, and like other giants that are kind of investing into it.
Hmm.
Plus, more recently, we're seeing a great interest in decentralization. So what happened is that all of these closed platforms, they had an avenue to open up, mainly using blockchain technology. Non-fungible tokens or NFTs are a
Hmm.
great example of how the virtual economy can start expanding beyond these closed platforms, where publishers cannot control the market anymore. And you have a global market, a real exchange where you can generate value from completely, totally virtual goods and assets. You must have heard of the artwork that sold for $70 million earlier this year.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
really a JPEG on the blockchain. That's
Yeah.
what it really comes down to. But it signals also a shift in the way we find value in virtual items. I think that's a fundamentally new way for us to create money,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
basically out of thin air.